How are you?
Good. How are you?
Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. Thank you for coming together and being here. We have a candle lighting ceremony planned, and we've invited a couple of volunteers who are deeply connected to Israel to help us through the ceremony. But we also have enough candles for many of you to light as well, when your soul is calling you to do so. Behind us, we have pictures and names of the many people who were killed on October 2nd. And coming in from the entrance in the lobby to the sanctuary, we have pictures and names of hostages that are still being held in Gaza. We have Rabbi Matthew Berkowitz here from Yerushalayim, who was there in Israel on October 7th last year. And his daughter, Rachel Berkowitz, is now serving in the IDF. And I'd like to welcome him to join me.
Tonight we'll be lighting 7 candles, and the arc that we will follow is to go from remembrance to pain, to courage and bravery, peoplehood to healing, to peace, and then close with tikva, closing with hope. We begin with our first candle, our candle of remembrance.
The first candle I've asked Sandy Ring-Hack to light. Towards the beginning of this past year, I commandeered a couple of congregants and kindred spirits to commit to walking 1 kilometer every week until all of the hostages have been returned. Sandy has walked every single Sunday. Wow. And we are so blessed to have people continuing this process. It is open to all. Anyone is welcome. We meet in the parking lot. We wear red shirts so you cannot miss us. And we pray that we will not have to walk again and again and again.
In this heartbreaking year that has passed, we have lost many precious souls, children and parents, sisters and brothers, friends and loved ones, each a world unto themselves, full of unique qualities, deeds, and indelible traces that they left in the world. As we light this candle just after Rosh Hashanah, the ancient Jewish day of remembrance, we seek to honor and remember each one. Every soul, every individual, young and old, who departed from us still remains with us in the cherished memories of their lives and lasting marks they left within us. Alongside them, we hold in our hearts the hostages, continually praying and yearning for their swift return home. We will not rest until this is achieved.
We remember the 6 hostages brutally murdered by Hamas. Hirsch Goldberg Poland, 23-year-old Israeli-American, became one of the most recognizable faces of the enduring hostage crisis after he was taken at gunpoint by Hamas militants from the Nova Music Festival. Alexander Lobanov, the 32-year-old father of two from the coastal city of Ashkelon in southern Israel, was also kidnapped from the Nova Music Festival, where he was working as a bar manager. Carmel Gat, the 40-year-old from Tel Aviv, was staying at her parents' home in the border kibbutz of Be'eri in southern Israel when Hamas fighters broke in at around 10 a.m. on October 7th and forcibly took her away. Almog Sarusi, the 27-year-old, was at the Nova Music Festival with his girlfriend of 5 years. When the attack happened, the pair tried to escape by car along with friends, but his girlfriend was shot and severely injured. Sarusi stayed by her side in a desperate attempt to save her. She died, and he was subsequently captured and taken to Gaza. Eden Yerushalmi, the 24-year-old from Tel Aviv, was working as a bartender at the Nova Music Festival on October 7th. When sirens sounded, she sent a video of rocket fire to her family group chat, saying she was leaving the party. Ori Danino, the eldest of 5 siblings, the 25-year-old planned to study electrical engineering. The Jerusalem native was kidnapped from the Nova Music Festival while driving back to help others escape.
A poem entitled Remember, written by Rina Levanon. We remember our brothers and sisters, the loyal and faithful, the brave and courageous, whom we lost amidst the horrors of war. We remember the shining eyes, the warm embrace, the confident heart, the photo albums, the life stories, the homes built with great effort and burned in an instant. We remember the loving families, the beauty, the hope, the eyes that look upon us with trust. May the souls of those who have left us be bound up in the bond of life, and their memory be connected to us by a thin thread of life, like a bouquet of wildflowers in rainwater, squills, golden puddles, almond trees, oleander, and mulberries. Laughter carried on the flight of swings, a beating heart, tenderness, and compassion. May our souls be connected to theirs in deep memory and gratitude, and may we choose life. We remember and we choose life. In the gentle hand extended, in the thin ray of dawn, in the sprouting stem, in the breath of the earth.
We turn now to our second candle reflecting pain.
We welcome up Dr. Lori Rothman to light our second candle. Lori made a voyage to Israel not too long ago on a mission, and she was among many other physicians and healthcare professionals from across this country who brought things that Israel needed, as well as visited with first responders of October 7th. She shared her words and her reflections with us one Shabbat morning following her mission to Israel. And now she will read reflections and intention on the second candle of pain.
For nearly 365 days, we have been engulfed in deep and enduring pain, sorrow, and mourning for the hostages who have spent too long in captivity and whose pain, along with that of their families, remains immense, for the lives lost and no longer with us, for the wounded who carry the events in their bodies, for the destroyed homes in the south and the north of Israel, and for ourselves, having lost every idea that we had about ourselves and our lives, and needing to discover them anew. In the din of war, we had no moment to pause and dwell with this pain, but we must give sorrow all the space and shelter it needs, as Eddie Hilsim wrote, for only then will the sorrow that now fills the world begin to fade. As we light this candle, we seek to give the pain within us a voice and a space to exist, to acknowledge it and know that we carry it with us, not in contrast to the ability to rise and recover, but rather as part of how we weave together the fabric of our new life.
Thank you, Lord.
On that Shabbat Shchora, that Shabbat of darkness, thousands of terrorists streamed across the Gaza border into the communities in Otef Aza. Kfar Aza was one of the hardest hit communities. Anati Alkabetz and her husband Shimon decided to leave their crazy lives, as it were, living in the Tel Aviv area, and sought to live a very calm and pastoral life to raise their children in the beautiful community of Kfar Aza. Little did they anticipate that one day terrorists would stream across the border, tear down the fence, and slaughter the young adults living in Kfar Aza. Their daughter, Sivan Alkabetz, was tragically killed with her partner, Naor Hasidim. Anati Alkabetz is a student in the institution, Schechter Institutes, that I'm very, very proud to now be vice president of. She is a student in our arts track and also in our pastoral care program. In February, she invited the staff and faculty to come to Kfar Aza to see an exhibit of her daughter Sivan's life that she had put together. All of us made the pilgrimage to Kfar Aza, and I tell you today that standing there amidst the destruction, the horrific sights of Kfar Aza, all I kept thinking about was the poet laureate of the Jewish people, Chaim Nachman Bialik, who was asked to go to Kishinev after the pogrom of 1903. Out of that experience, he wrote an epic poem of the Jewish people that became the spark of the Zionist movement called Ir HaHariga, the city of slaughter. Chaim Nachman Bialik was also tasked with taking testimony from the survivors of the Kishinev pogrom. As we stood there in the midst of the destruction of Kfar Aza, I kept thinking to myself that this is what Chaim Nachman Bialik must have felt like, standing in Kishinev in his day. And yet here I was, standing in the state of Israel in the aftermath of a pogrom. Shimon Alkabetz, the father of Sivan, is a very, very talented musician. And in memory of his daughter Sivan, he wrote a very, very moving poem, song, reflecting his process of mourning for his daughter. Shimon wrote the following: "Most terrifying is the longing that descends on you without warning, causes you to cry at the wrong time, right at the moment you are at the cashier with all your groceries. Most seared into you deeply is the feeling of guilt, how you were not with her at the moment of terror, at the hour she was under fire and blood. She only wanted you to say that everything will be okay." This was from the WhatsApps that Sivan was sending to her parents. She just wanted to know that her parents were safe. Never again, our parents would say to us. Never again, our leaders promised us. Never again, we declared to our children, Le'olam lo od. Most terrifying is the longing, how you were not with her and she only wanted you to say, everything will be okay. Never again our parents would say to us, never again our leaders promised us, never again we declare to our children. Only the world is no longer for us. We are left alone. Most frightening is the longing, the longing. We want to show you a clip of Shimon Alkabetz's song, Never Again. In Hebrew, it's Le'olam Lo Od.
הכי מפחיד זה הגעגוע שנוחת עליך בלי להודיע קוראים לך לבכות הרגע לא מתאים בדיוק בקופה עם הדברים בשקית צורב, זה רגש האשמה איך לא היית איתה ברגעי האימה בשעות שהיא הייתה תחת אש ודם היא רק רצתה שתגיד הכל יהיה בסדר לעולם לא רצתה שתגיד הכל יהיה בסדר לעולם לא עוד אמרו לנו הורינו לעולם לא עוד הבטיחו מנהיגנו לעולם לא עוד אמרנו לילדינו רק העולם כבר לא עוד עבורנו נשארנו לבדנו
Gael Rodriguez Garcia wrote that our hearts are broken and in hidden places, in empty rooms, thousands of sobs are choking silently. Cleared for publication, that open season was declared on us. We were plundered in the dark of the most precious of the precious. It is already cleared for publication. that the magical shining light of our beloved's face is extinguished. However, beneath the same soil, a stubborn plant is sprouting, sending roots without end, tightly grasped with love. This poem, cleared for publication, is a term used by the Israeli media to announce that the names of soldiers who have fallen in battle can now be made public. This only happens after their families and close relatives have been personally informed. During the recent war, the news frequently began with these words, "For many, many weeks," cleared for publication.
We turn to our third candle, courage and bravery.
Our third candle will be lit by Yossi and Jan Ben Simchon. From the very beginning moments of what we knew was happening October 7th, Yossi knew before the rest of us because, well, he's Israeli and he watches Israeli news. Before any of us knew what was happening, he was already on high alert, warning us, instructing us, and rallying us with strength and courage to go forward. Yossi is also a tank commander from the IDF and fought in the Six-Day War, the War of Attrition, the Yom Kippur War, and is a member of our congregation now. And if you can't light the candle, that's okay. Come on up. We'll figure that out later.
Courage and bravery. Amidst the pain and sorrow, the fear and mourning that accompany us, this past year has revealed the spirit of courage and daring within Israeli society. True, everyone seems ordinary, but we are a nation of superheroes, sings Israeli band Hatikva Shesh. This year we discovered women and men, young and old, Jews, Druze, Muslims, Christians, Palestinians, Bedouins, Circassians, and many others who emerged from their lives, families, routines, and tranquility, in a split second found within themselves extraordinary strength to protect, save, help, and support. Courage and bravery showed itself in numerous ways, both in the military and civil society, from maintaining a functioning home front amongst reservist families to steadfastly supporting the families of the hostages and displaced communities, to the rebuilding of communities that had experienced trauma. So many were willing to risk and sacrifice their lives for others, drawing courage from Israeli and human solidarity. As we light this candle, we want to express our gratitude to the brave citizens and soldiers, the courageous fighters, and to pledge that by their light we will continue to walk, knowing that because of them we can prevail.
It bears noting that At this hour, it is October 7th in Israel. It is the 367th day of this war. And in fact, every day since October 7th has been Shiva b'October, has been the 7th of October. But I trust that you just heard the resonance of the expression that I just used, right? It's not Shvi'i l'October, it's Shiva b'October, right? You hear what that sounds like, right? Shiva, Shiva, right? Every single day since October 7th, it has felt as if we Israelis are sitting Shiva. It is the repeat of October 7th all over again. October 7th, 2023, marked the most horrific tragedy for the state of Israel and for the Jewish people since the Holocaust. The weakest enemy delivered the most devastating blow to us. Some 1,200 people were murdered in Israel, and 250 people were taken hostage on a single day. 101 of those souls are still held captive in Gaza. Hezbollah in Lebanon launched its missiles in the north of Israel the very next day, October 8th, forcing nearly 70,000 Israelis from their homes. Iran launched direct attacks on Israel on April 13th and again on October 1st, sending millions of Israelis into the shelter of their safe rooms. I recall with horror watching the Israeli news on the morning of October 7th as terrified Israelis pressing against the doors of their sealed rooms, fortifying themselves against the terrorists who were seeking to murder them, all queried, Eifo hatzava, where is the army? Scores of Israelis holed up in sealed rooms in Kfar Aza, Nir Oz, Sderot, Be'eri, Ofakim, fleeing like prey from the Nova Festival, all asking the same question, Eifo hatzava, where is the army? And for some heroic Israelis, it was not a moment of hesitation or questioning. Menachem and Elchanan Kalmanson and their nephew, Itiel Zohar, left their home in Otniel on October 7th to save the lives of Israelis in Gaza border communities. They rescued dozens of Kibbutz Be'eri residents from Hamas terrorists before Elchanan was killed. With extraordinary courage, they saved entire families, showing up literally at the gates of hell and not hesitating for a moment to save the lives of fellow Israelis. Neither can we forget Anir Shapira Zal, who acted as a modern-day Mordechai Analevich, the hero of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. Anir protected some 20 young adults standing at the entrance of a concrete shelter as Hamas terrorists continually lobbed grenades in an attempt to murder those inside. Anir hurled 7 of the grenades back at the murderers. The 8th killed him, and 1 tore off the arm of his friend Hirsch. Israeli society rallied from the most fractured point on October 7th to its most unified and strongest chapter. Israelis pulled together to tend to the wounded, to bury the dead, to bear witness to the atrocities, to care for one another, to tend to the evacuees from the north and the south, and to express ahavat chinam, unbound love for one another. In addition, the Jewish people, the world over, demonstrated the power of Jewish peoplehood. As American Jews, especially, many of you here in this room contributed generously to a point that close to $1 billion was raised to aid Israel. You joined solidarity missions to Israel, showing the world that the Jewish people lives. Am Yisrael Chai. And just as important, you participated in rallies in support of Israel here in the United States and fought courageously against the scourge of anti-Semitism. Brett Stevens 2 days ago reminds us, quote, "In an era that stresses sensitivity to every microaggression against nearly any minority, macroaggressions against Jews who happen to believe that Israel has a right to exist are not only permitted but demanded. Zionist has become just another word for Jew. And when the wished-for dire consequences of anti-Semitism fall directly on the heads of millions of Jews, and when the people the anti-Zionists seek to silence, exclude, and shame are almost all Jewish, and when the charges they make against Zionists invariably echo the hoariest anti-Semitic stereotypes, greed, deceit, limitless bloodlust, then the distinctions between anti-Zionist and anti-Semite blur to the point of invisibility," unquote. We must call out the poison of anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism wherever it seeks a home on the political spectrum, right and left. Together, over the course of this long and brutal year, we rallied with John and Rachel Goldberg Poland, who moved hearts, souls, and worlds to free their son Hirsch from the nightmare of Hamas captivity. And then our hearts were shattered as we heard the tragic news that Hirsch and 5 other hostages were murdered by Hamas henchmen. On September 2nd, 2024, I and thousands of other fellow Israelis engaged in the mitzvah of Havayat Hamet, escorting the deceased to burial, as Hirsch of blessed memory was laid to rest. None other than the President of Israel, Isaac Herzog, addressed the mourners and the nation. He opened his words with a deep sense of contrition. Quote, "Beloved Hirsch, with a torn and broken heart, I stand here today as the President of the State of Israel, bidding you farewell and asking for your forgiveness. From you and from Carmel, from Eden, from Almog, from Alex and Ori, and from all your loved ones. I apologize on behalf of the State of Israel that we failed to protect you in the terrible disaster of October 7th, that we failed to bring you home safely," unquote. Startup Nation has tragically become Survival Nation as we engage in an existential war of survival. The State of Israel is fighting on 3 fronts. First, against genocidal enemies on our borders. Second, we are fighting a global battle against the delegitimization and criminalization of the State of Israel. And third, we are battling the extremist and fundamentalist zealots within us. And yet, there remain the true heroes, soldiers of the IDF that have fought courageously defending the one and only homeland of the Jewish people. Staff Sergeant Shachar Friedman, 21 years of age, was one of those defenders. Shachar was a dear friend of my daughter, Rachel. He was a member of the Paratroopers Brigade 101, 101st Battalion, and he was killed while fighting Hamas terrorists in Gaza on November 19th. Friedman's unit was one of the first to respond to the initial Hamas assault on October 7th. He was interviewed just before entering Gaza for what would be his final mission, and in a moment you're going to see that brief interview. Friedman was a graduate of the Himmelfarb High School in Jerusalem and was active in the B'nai Akiva movement, working specifically with children on the autistic spectrum. He left behind an ethical will, which has been widely reported on and distributed in the Hebrew press and on Israeli social media. His parents, Liat and Doron, gave me copies of this ethical will to share with you, right? So as you leave the sanctuary tonight, please take one of these, one per family. He wrote in his ethical will the following: "Be good people. Smile. Strive to make every person you meet smile too. Be open to criticism and always try to improve yourself. Know that the greatest quality that one can have is the ability to make another person happy. Open your ears to the needs of others and open your eyes to their pain. Try to smile as much as possible, even when it's hard. Pay attention to those who are often overlooked. Appreciate the little things the world has to offer, especially nature and music. And most importantly, be good people in your own way. Don't let society dictate to you what makes you good people. Just try as hard as you can, and even when you fail, know that is the road to success. Love yourselves and the world. When you radiate happiness, a circle of joy will slowly form that will create a better world. And in the spirit of Shachar, I close with the words of Bret Stephens again, the piece that he wrote in the New York Times 2 days ago entitled "The Year American Jews Woke Up." At the conclusion of his article, he writes the following, quote, "To have been born a Jew is the single most fortunate thing that ever happened to me. It is a priceless moral, spiritual, intellectual, and emotional inheritance from my ancestors, some of whom were slaughtered for it. It's a precious bequest to my children, who will find different ways to make it their own. It is therefore worth the time it takes to explore and worth the cost, including, tragically, the cost in bigotry and violence it so often extracts. To be a Jew obliges us to many things, particularly our duty to be our brothers' and sisters' keeper. That means never to forsake one another, much less to join in the vilification of our own people. It means to participate in the long struggle for our survival, not only against enemies who mean us harm, but also against those who excuse those enemies of those whose moral apathy speeds their way. And it means to embrace, often as a thoughtful critic, but never as a hateful scold, the great, complicated, essential project of a Jewish state. To imagine we can do without it is to forget how close we came to extinction before it was born. October 7th shook our illusions and reawakened us to where we stand as a diasporic community. Now we must reckon with who we are and what we must do," unquote. May our hostages come home speedily, and may peace come to the state of Israel. Od lo avda tikvatenu, our hope is not lost. Am Yisrael Chai, the people of Israel lives.
Amen.
Shachar Friedman.
אז אני סמ"ר שחר פרידמן, בן 21 מירושלים. אני משרת בגדוד 101 של צנחנים בתור קמב"ץ בגדודי פנים מרחבים. כבר שמענו על המשימה, שמתו לו כמה חברים, ואני עצמי הגיעו להיות חבר אחד שאהבתי מאוד, אומר שפירא, שרק ויש פולין שנכתב בסיס חייל וכתוב לבוא בצבו, ואני באמת אוהב את העם שלי, באמת אוהב את המדינה שלי, כל אחד ואחד. לא אכפת לי דת, גזע, צבע, מין. אני באמת אוהב כל בן אדם שנמצא פה בכל סנטימטר וסנטימטר באדמה הזאת, שהלכתי אותה, חרשתי אותה, ואנחנו החיילים.
I really love my people, and I really love this country.
To truly fight, Netanel Ellenson. To truly fight, you must forget. Forget your beloved, forget your children, forget all your loves behind. To truly fight, you must remember. Remember your beloved, remember your children, remember all your loves left behind. Remember and forget.
For our fourth candle, we turn to peoplehood.
We invite Mark and Naomi forward, Mark and Naomi Paul forward, who have been walking and keeping Rabbi Matt Berkowitz's company on his walks back to the hotel each night, following services, following meals. There's this one. This one? No. The light. Peoplehood.
Reflection and intention. In this painful year, alongside the loneliness and sorrow, the strength of the Jewish people was rediscovered. When Israelis were shocked and frightened, Jews around the world shared their fear and cried with them. When IDF soldiers lacked equipment or displaced families needed resources, Jews came together to offer supplies and support. Even in the midst of war, Jews traveled to hug Israelis and show their solidarity. And as anti-Semitic incidents increased, Jews in Israel raised their voices and came to visit Jewish communities to offer support and share their stories. Together, people across the world are fighting for the hostages to be released and returned home. Together, Jews are fighting for the future of our people and for our collective spirit. Jewish peoplehood and solidarity have shown their power and their resilience. The Israeli poet Haim Gori wrote, "I am as well as my people. For the past year, our collective welfare around the globe is as our people's."
With the lighting of this candle, we give thanks for the diverse, complex, and warm-hearted Jewish people that serves as a source of support and a solid foundation to endure difficult days. We pray for a future where we will come together in God's house, a house of prayer for all people. As we light this candle for Jewish peoplehood, may we soon be gathered together for moments of reunion and rejoicing.
Amen.
Thank you, Mark and Naomi. Thank you. And we wanted to welcome two lovely women, Melody Alstadt and Sharon Pikus, to share a couple of words about their mission to Israel with JNF. Melody was on a trip to Israel with both Rabbi Berkowitz and I not so many years ago, and continues to go every year, sometimes twice a year. Sharon has also been a very strong advocate for Israel, she and her husband support the Technion Institute and JNF, and we welcome you to just share a couple of words and reflections about your mission that you did this year. And I just want to take a moment.
Yeah.
Melody has this beautiful jacket on that's custom made, that is in great support of the hostages. It says on the back, "Bring them home," with a yellow ribbon, and you can take a look at her beautiful jacket following our service.
So Melody's on stage under duress. But she was really the motivating force about us when we went at the end of June to Israel. I was kvetching, it's going to be hot, they're going to put us in the fields, we're too old. She said she was going no matter what. So our remarks, mine, are about resilience and moving forward, because that's what this trip was. No sooner did we get off the plane than we went to a bris from dear friends and relatives, a Melody, several hundred people, eating, doing. It was really so different than, what we didn't know what we were going to encounter when we got off the plane. Our trip was organized by JNF, but I have to say Many of the people, we were 2 buses, 40 people. Many had never been to Israel before, and quite a few were not Jewish. And I thought that was unbelievable to volunteer yourself to do this. Shortly after we get on the trip, because we didn't know what we were going to be assigned to, they put us at a farm that was packaging lettuce, and the farmer had been attacked and had his own story about how he survived and saved his daughter. A first responder. And as Melody said, the conveyor belt of lettuce
reminded me of I don't know if any of you remember this, but Lucille Ball.
in the chocolate factory.
And I kept saying, I don't have any place big enough to shove these heads of lettuce.
The lettuce kept coming and
They
coming.
were coming and coming and coming and coming, and we didn't know where to put them. I mean, they were too big to hide it on our shirts. We didn't know, down our pants.
It kept coming, but it was
kept
great.
coming, but we did it.
Yeah. And then we went on to Kibbutz Magen, where we did painting and other people did landscaping. And it so happened about a month ago, a hostage was freed. He was a Muslim, a Bedouin, and he was the security guard at Kibbutz Magen. My family happens to be involved with Kibbutz Nahal Oz, which was the second kibbutz to fall. And I will say, unfortunately, we helped establish it near Gaza. It hasn't been opened, it hasn't been revived yet, but they are starting to build. And so I say this report is about resilience. It was just great. Throughout our journey, families were living in hotels with their pets from beginning to end. From the north, Israel had passed a law that all hotels had to allow pets because these people had pets, and when they were relocated, they had to bring them with them. We did barbecue for the army. We cooked food for the army with a wonderful woman named Osi in Ofakim, which was another community that was attacked. We went to Sderot, where which was a big city, 35, 40, 50,000 people. The terrorists marched right in, decimated the police station. We did have the opportunity to go to Nova, the dance site.
We met the mother of the last surviving police officer who was up on the roof, which was a female.
Right.
And she asked us to pray for all of them, as well as her daughter. And I just heard recently that she just passed away.
So the trip was wonderful. We never felt at risk. This is about survival. This is about the people moving forward. It's about Israel's resilience, and I think we all have to play a part in it. Our job is to support our Jewish homeland.
And I just want to say one thing. The people that we met, the Israelis, were grateful beyond words. They never stopped saying, thank you for coming, thank you for not being afraid, thank you for working. It was, thank you, we love you, thank you, we love you. And there was enough time for us to do all the things we wanted to do, but I'm sure there's another mission in the works very soon.
Thank you so much.
We go forward.
Thank you.
Okay.
Beautiful. Thank you,
A lot of
Sharon.
notice.
Thank you, Melody. And speaking of opportunities to go to Israel and another mission, in fact, Rabbi Berkowitz is leading one in November.
So please be inspired by the model of Melody and Sharon, and take advantage of the opportunity to come to Israel with Schechter Institutes. We're celebrating our 40th anniversary, November 18th to the 23rd, and we want to have a serious Beth David Palm Beach Gardens contingent. And I encourage you to come speak to me about this very, very special experience, which will include not only the dedication of our campus in Jerusalem, but also a meeting with President Herzog. We will be spending Shabbat in Tel Aviv at our Neve Schechter campus. And in addition, we're going to be making a pilgrimage down to communities in the South as well. So come talk to me about it, and please be inspired by all of those that have already been on solidarity missions. The greatest way that you can show your support is by showing your presence in the state of Israel. And I encourage you all to make time for that.
If you go, I will go with you. A Coat of Many Colors by Racheli Moskovitz. My son returned from battle, his duffel bursting with things that I had not packed for him. Socks donated by the Jews in Argentina, a quilted blanket smelling like someone else's home, a blue towel from a family from Moshav, tzitzit from Jerusalem, a fleece jacket gifted by a high-tech company, a scarf knitted by an elderly lady, undershirts purchased by online shoppers, a sheet that was given to him by a friend, gloves bought by teenage girls, a jacket from the closet of someone who came and requested to give. I spread out all those garments, weave together a new coat of many colors. See, Yosef, your brothers were there for you.
The fifth candle, a light of healing.
I'd like to welcome up our president, Renee Kessler, to light the fifth candle. Renee has also been a steadfast volunteer walker on Sunday mornings for the hostages, and she has also been a huge advocate to bringing Israel to life here each and every month at Temple Beth David, especially since October 7th.
For a year now, many of us have been in pain in our bodies, in our souls, in our faith in humanity. The wounds and pains will not disappear quickly, and yet, for us to continue living, to create, to build, and to recover, we must also heal. Not all at once, but slowly, not by erasing the scars, but by understanding that they are here to stay, that we may still have to bear our open wounds. As we light this candle, we seek healing, healing of the soul and healing of the body for all of us, and in particular, healing for all of those wounded on October 7 and throughout the year that followed it. We hope and believe the days ahead will be days of mercy and compassion.
Thank you. And now I'm grateful to have Deborah Seidel here to join me with Amisha Berach, a healing prayer.
us with the vision for tomorrow. Help us to reach out to those in pain. May the warmth of friendship ease our sorrow. Give us courage, give us faith, show us the way. Mi sheberach avoteinu, mi sheberach imoteinu. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well.
Wanted by Adniel Kosman. Wanted, a quiet place to rest the soul just for a few moments. Wanted, a place to rest the feet just for a few moments. Wanted, a plant, leaf, stalk, or shrub that won't fold up when the soul arrives, just for a few moments. Wanted, one phrase, clean, agreeable, and warm to serve as a bench, a refuge for someone close to me, a dove child, my own soul, who left the ark this morning for a few moments in the early hours and couldn't find a place to rest her feet. We turn to the sixth candle, a candle of peace.
And we welcome Pastor Mike Storrow of the Gathering Place. Pastor Mike and I met a year and a half ago, and since then, the Gathering Place has been one of our closest friends since October 7th. On October 7th, in fact, Pastor Mike was the first person who reached out to me asking how he and his congregation could offer us support at Temple Beth David and how he could be our friend.
On October 7th, we encountered human evil, cruelty, and barbarism. We saw with our own eyes the depravity of our enemies and the horrors of war. At the same time, we witnessed real solidarity and the power of coming together, both in Israel and in the diaspora. A year later, during the upcoming festival of Sukkot, a holiday when we make ourselves vulnerable by stepping outside the safety of our homes, we will once again step into the Sukkah, open to all who want to join, and we will pray for it to be a Sukkah of peace. Peace within us, peace among our people, and peace with our neighbors in the entire world. Amid the terror of war, we will try to hold onto the possibility of peace. Even though the path to peace is long, difficult, and complicated, and almost entirely concealed from us, we will continue to hope and yearn for the days of tranquility and security in our land, in our communities, and throughout the region. As we light this candle, we'll ignite within ourselves the belief that peace, both internal and external, will eventually come, bringing us transcendent joy.
Prayer for Peace by Rebbe Nachman. Lord of peace, divine ruler, to whom peace belongs, master of peace, creator of all things, may it be your will that you erase war and bloodshed from the world, and in its place draw down a great and glorious peace, so that nation shall not lift up sword against nation, and neither shall they learn war anymore. Help us and save us all, that we might cling tightly to the virtue of peace. Let there be a truly great peace between every person and their fellow, and between spouses, and let there be no discord between any people, even in their hearts. And may it be that all people love peace and pursue peace, always in truth and with wholeheartedness, without holding on to any disputes ever again that would divide us against each other. Let us never shame any person on earth, great or small. May we merit to fulfill your commandments, to love your neighbor as yourself, with all our hearts and souls and bodies and possessions, and let it come to pass in our time as it is written, I will grant peace in the land, and you will lie down untroubled, and I will give the land respite from vicious beasts, and no sword will pass through your land. God of peace, bless us with peace.
Amen.
A minor. For the seventh candle, I welcome up my mentor, my rabbi, someone who I've been holding in my heart in prayers, his entire family, Rabbi Matt. Rabbi Matt Berkowitz made Aliyah to Israel not too many years ago. He was actually a rabbi here in South Florida before he made Aliyah with his beautiful family.
The seventh candle, hope. We are well practiced in hoping. For over 2,000 years, we have continued to hope for a better reality, for a better future. Even in the darkest days of the past year, even in the deepest depths of pain, the voice of hope continued to sound within us. For the return of the hostages, the healing of returned hostages, for the recovery of the wounded, for the rehabilitation and renewal of the Western Negev and the North, for the possibility of creating a better life for ourselves, for our children, and for the entire region. Despite the dark moments, we continue to strive and hope, in prayer and in deed, in faith and in action. As we light this candle, we will remember the dances that were not danced in synagogues a year ago, and the dancing that was cruelly interrupted in the beautiful Negev. We will recall the moments when our hope almost faded, and we will draw from our ancient tradition into our hearts the strength of hope that we may yet see peace in the land, joy for its inhabitants.
בצרה ובשביה, העומדים במים ובין בים הבשה.
Horizon by Gali Ravitz. This is a period in which it is hard to speak of horizon. It seems that there is not anything on the horizon, and yet, when I close my eyes at night before sleep, I remember my dreams and the places I wanted to be in my children, my loves, and I become weightless like a seagull, soaring very high, drawing me a line, and fly in its direction. We ask you to please rise for a memorial prayer for all those who were murdered and are fallen since October 7th.
שוכן במרומים, אמצי מנוחה נכונה על כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים וגיבורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים, מאירים לנשמות הקדושים אזרחי ישראל, אנשים, נשים וטף, שנהרגו, שנרצחו, שנשרפו, שנטבחו בידי מרצחי המחבלים בני העוולה, ומסרו נפשם על קידוש השם בהתקפה האכזרית על יישובי מדינת ישראל. בארי, שדרות, כפר עזה, נחל עוז רעים, נירים מגן, סופה, ניר יצחק, ניר עוז, כרם שלום, אופקים, משטרת ישראל ואנשי כוחות הביטחון שמסרו נפשם על קדושת השם ונפלו מות גיבורים בקרבות על הגנת העם בארץ. שאנו מתפללים לעילוי נשמותיהם בגן עדן תהא מנוחתם, לכן בעל הרחמים יסתירם בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמותיהם. אדוני הוא נחלתם, וינוחו בשלום על משכבותם, ויעמדו לגורלם לקץ הימים, ונאמר Amen.
Please remain standing for the Mourner's Kaddish. You are invited to join with me.
Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shemir Rabbah, Yom Dibra Firute, Yamlich Malchute, V'chayechon, Yomechon, V'chayet Zechol Beit Yisrael, V'agala, Lizman Kariv, V'imru, Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevorach, Leolam Omei Omaya. Yibarach, V'yishtabach, V'yipa'ar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, V'yitalev, V'yitalal, Shemei Dekudusha Brechu. Leila, Leila, Min Kol Birchata V'shirata, Tishbechata V'nechemata, Tamiram B'yoma V'imru, Amen. Yehi Shlom Rabbah Min Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru, Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mromav, Huliyaseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru, Amen.
In a moment, we are going to conclude this service this evening with Hatikva, which means the hope, the national anthem of Israel. Just outside our sanctuary, we have a table, and on that table there are blank cards. And on one side of the table there is a sign that says, "Letters to IDF soldiers." Please, just write a quick note, giving them love, sending them your strength. And on the other side of the table, there is a sign that says, "Letters to the family of Shachar." His family would love to hear your words of peace, your words of encouragement, your words of love, and continuing his legacy. And Rabbi Berkowitz and I will be here following this ceremony. If you'd like to talk, if you'd like to share, if you'd like to just linger for a little while, if you'd like to light your lights at this moment in time. I want to thank everyone who participated. I want to thank everyone who came this evening. We will be holding a very early morning minyan. If you would like to join us in prayer tomorrow morning, please join us. 7:15, bright and early, when we were all finding out about the horror that was happening in Israel at that time.
The note cards that you write to IDF soldiers tonight, and the cards that you write to Liat and Aron, the parents of Shachar, will be headed back to Israel on Sunday with me. And they will make it to where they need to go. So I encourage you all to just take a moment, take one of the small note cards, and just write a brief note to an Israeli soldier, or write a note to Liat and Aron, and let them know that we embrace them with love and support. And please, God, may there be peace upon all of us, upon the state of Israel, and upon the world.
Amen.
We close with the singing of Hatikva.
Kol
closer.
I was in a group of older women. And we had, from month to month, we went to different houses.
Wow.
The group died out, though.
You can always start again.
I have a Yamaha 7.3, I think. 7.3.
Wow.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Do you play with her a lot?
This was the first time,
First time?
actually. But we know each other back.
Well, if anyone would like to linger, there are refreshments in the social hall.